This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, February 9th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. New Jersey-based Bed Bath & Beyond announced this week that it will close 150 additional stores in the U.S., including 5 in Indiana. The move comes after the retailer said it had raised about $1 billion through a preferred stock offering and warrants to purchase its common stock in order to pay off debt. The affected Indiana locations are in Bloomington, Fort Wayne, Lafayette, Noblesville, and Valparaiso, and that's in addition to a previously announced closure in Avon. President and CEO Sue Grove said the move will provide runway to execute the company's turnaround plan. Indiana Members Credit Union has promoted John Newitt to president and CEO. Newitt joined the credit union in 2011 as Director of Planning and Administration and was promoted to president last April. You can read about more senior leadership appointments at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Elkhart-based Surf Internet on Wednesday announced it has raised $100 million in debt financing from Digital Bridge Credit in Florida. The internet service provider said the funding will be used for continued expansion of its fiber networks in the Great Lakes region. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Has your company grown at a rapid pace over the last 2 years? Nominations are now being accepted for Fast 25, IBJ's exclusive list of fastest growing companies in Central Indiana. Honorees will be spotlighted in a special publication in the IBJ and celebrated at an event on May 9th. Check out the changes to this year's criteria to see if your company qualifies. Learn more and submit your nomination by March 1st at ibj.com/nominations.
In today's business environment, every company is a tech company. Interested in learning more about emerging technology trends that can make an impact on your strategy in 2023? Join us February 15th for IBJ's Technology Power Breakfast to hear from top tech entrepreneurs, investors, and up-and-comers. Our panelists will dive into key issues and trends that will inspire fresh ideas. RSVP or reserve a corporate table for 10 by February 9th at ibj.com/events.
A bill dictating payments for certain health services based on location or site of service cleared a Senate Health Committee Wednesday, though nearly every senator voiced concerns with the bill.
Senate Bill 6 passed 8-4 with bipartisan votes on both sides, but at least 5 of the yes votes expressed reservations about the measure, including Senator Liz Brown of Fort Wayne, who called the bill unintentionally flawed. Supporters say that they, through their insurance coverage, shouldn't have to pay hospital-level prices for care delivered at outpatient clinics owned by the hospitals. But hospitals argue that these clinics, whether or not they're physically part of the hospital, operate under the same regulations and standards set for hospitals. Hospital prices are typically higher due to the intensive 24/7 services offered and specialized equipment. Opponents said the bill would cost hospitals billions. Valparaiso Republican Senator Ed Charbonneau, the proposal's author, acknowledged the work ahead for the bill and assured critics that he wouldn't rush the bill through the chamber. He said he planned to hold the bill on second reading, which allows for amendments from the Senate until the bill deadline at the end of the month. Wes Mills, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The LaPorte Community School Corporation says there are no plans to tear down a beloved baseball field used by LaPorte High School. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report the future of Schreiber Field was called into question as the district considered the possibility of building a new field house. In a press release, the district said any plans to destroy or remove the field are not in the works. The field is named after Ken Schreiber, who coached the LaPorte High School Slicers from 1967 to 1992. During that time, the school won 7 state baseball championships and 1 national championship in 1987. An IU Kelley School of Business professor says the nation's unemployment rate of 3.4% shows that the U.S. is not currently in a recession, but there is still more work to be done when it comes to inflation. However, Andrew Butters says the demand for labor is still high compared to the supply of workers.
But one thing to also keep in mind is that because of this really tight labor market, the Federal Reserve might need to continue raising interest rates, something that it's been doing obviously during the later half of 2022 and is likely to potentially need to continue doing into 2023. There certainly has been a push both from government and from businesses to move jobs back to the United States and in particular manufacturing jobs. One implication, of course, is that, as I mentioned, the unemployment rate is already really low. We're already in a really, really tight labor market. And so it's going to be increasingly more difficult to find people as these new positions come online.
He tells the Associated Press while the last 6 months of data have been comforting as it relates to inflation, there is still a long way to go to bring demand back in line with supply. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana has announced Indy Jet Management LLC and associated parties have agreed to resolve allegations of conducting illegal charter flights. The settlement resolves allegations that between March 2017 and February 2018, Indy Jet Management operated about 168 paid passenger-carrying flights in violation of Federal Aviation Administration safety regulations. Under the terms of the settlement agreement, Indy Jet Management agreed that it will no longer operate in the same manner and has paid more than $187,000 in civil penalties. The Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick remains on hiatus as we prepare for Season 3, but you can go back and listen to past episodes with notable names in Indiana, such as Mario Andretti, Angelo Pizzo, and media personalities Mark Patrick and Bob Kavoyan. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.